Before the Mountain West Conference, there was the Western Athletic Conference. In 1996, it expanded to a 16-team conference that stretched from Hawaii to Houston, Texas. 4 time zones were covered in this league: Central, Mountain, Pacific, and Hawaiian and Aleutian time zones. The conference was split into 2 divisions: the Mountain, that consisted of BYU, New Mexico, Rice, SMU, Tulsa, Utah, and UTEP. Then you had the Pacific Division, which consisted of Air Force, Colorado State, Wyoming, Fresno State, San Diego State, San Jose State, Hawaii, and UNLV. Potential net losses such as travel costs, cultural and academic differences among the schools, and having to keep up with numerous time zones was never considered. For example, BYU, SMU, and TCU are religious institutions, while Utah and New Mexico are flagship universities. Tulsa and Rice are private universities, and Hawaii is a land-grant institution. You see how mind-boggling it is to explain the makeup of that league? Too much diversity doesn't equate to success. Then looking into travel, you had the mountain schools in Wyoming, Colorado State, and Air Force that had to travel to Vegas, Cali, and Hawaii for road games. This league was created without any supervision from academic presidents, board of regents, nor athletic directors, which led to the league's demise in the late 1990s. In 1998, half of the league, Air Force, BYU, Colorado State, New Mexico, San Diego State, UNLV, Utah, and Wyoming left to form the Mountain West. Between 2001 and 2004, Conference USA lured TCU, Rice, Tulsa, SMU, and UTEP to form the Western Division of their new conference. The conference was created based on big ambition. By 2010, the only original members of the WAC were Fresno State, San Jose State, and Hawaii. Boise State, which joined in 2001, quickly became the heartbeat of the conference. But they ended up joining the Mountain West in 2011, becoming the heartbeat of that conference. The departure of Boise State led to the fall of WAC football in 2012. The Mountain West and Conference USA added the remaining schools that were left without a conference home. 10 years later, the WAC is back with hopes of becoming a power conference in the 2040 decade. Their re-inauguration season took place in 2021. The current members for the 2022 season are Lamar, Abilene Christian, Sam Houston State, Stephen F. Austin, Incarnate Word, Charleston State, Southern Utah, and Dixie State, whose name will be changed to Utah Tech by the start of the season. But the question remains, have the WAC learned from their mistakes in the past? And if so, how can they avoid making the same mistakes from the late 90s? They're already taking the same footsteps that they took in the past by covering multiple time zones to start. Also, a majority of their schools are located in Texas, while the business office is located in Denver. So the conference currently covers 3 states and 2 time zones. In reality, Western states are bigger, which causes schools to be further apart from one another, unlike the South, where states are smaller, enabling schools to have a closer proximity to one another. The reality of such matter instantly forces one to think that a Western Collegiate Conference has to cover multiple time zones. Such doesn't have to be the case. The first thing is that the WAC needs a clear vision. Part of that vision is a target region. Do you want the Southwest, the Midwest, the Mountain West, or the Pacific West region? The WAC has 2 options with this potential vision. They can choose 1 region or 2 regions. However, majority of the schools must be set in an identical time zone. So if the WAC wants 2 regions, logically, the Midwest and the Southwest will work, which will mean a Southwest Conference will once again be created. The old saying that history repeats itself is true in sports, especially in college football. Look at the current construction of the Mountain West, for example. It basically picked up where the old WAC left off. One suggestion I'll give to the WAC is to stay away from the Pacific. History suggests that a Mountain West and Pacific alliance doesn't work. There are too many differences in geography, culture, philosophy, and ideologies. Mountain West schools are generally smaller and better suited working off a smaller budget. These are the type of programs that has potential to grow steadily over multiple decades, similar to how the SEC grew over a long period of time. Growth in these schools are stunted due to their alliance with the heavier budget Pacific West schools. Mountain schools are forced to spend hefty money on pricey hotels in high-cost Pacific cities such as Los Angeles, San Diego, Seattle, and the Bay Area. WAC, you have to set a target region. As of now, it's clear that the Southwest is your target. However, as you see growth with ambitions of becoming a power conference, all of these schools that currently have membership won't grow with you. They'll be left behind because there are currently power institutions that are displaced in conferences that they don't belong. Since you're located in Denver, let's look at the 3 power institutions in your state of residence. All 3 of these programs are in conferences that they don't belong in. Why? Because these conferences forces them to be in alliance with the Pacific West. And a Mountain Pacific alliance does not work, which is something that you're well aware of. Out of the 3, Air Force and Colorado State has shown signs that they're unhappy with their current conference membership. Colorado hasn't openly shown that they're unhappy with Pac-12 membership, but at private dinner tables and 14er trips, you best believe that Regent members and donors express how bad of a fit it is. The Mountain West is just as fragile as the old Western American Conference. The Pac-12 is not as mighty out west either. There's a reason why Stanford was quietly considering leaving the conference to become independent during the 2020 lockdowns. The only thing that's holding this conference together is the optimism that the USC program can be good. WAC, Western Collegiate Athletics, is up for the taking. Schools in this region are not as strong as the southern schools due to a lack of a regional alliance. Diversity is not always a good thing. To build an economy, you need a small group of like-minded individuals with common ideologies that enable them to work together consistently. This is what the SEC has done since the 1960s. Look at how they've grown over time. Settle on a target region, which will most likely be the Mountain West since you're currently a Colorado resident, and start to build a regional economy. When we get this video up to 1,000 views, I'll create another going into specific detail on how the WAC can become a legitimate threat to the Pac-12 and Mountain West, because both of those conferences are fragile. WAC, as long as you don't make WAC decisions, you will thrive in the West.
Who you wanna be like? Who you picture me like? What will I be when I grow up? Cause I never wanna be like them. Either they never see me shine, nah. And I'm sorry for the me time, nah. I just had to get my